are celebrating from Malaysian experience. This is not the reason why we're here, and let me tell you that even though in Colombia we're still have our coffee culture, we are also bringing the convenience and the flavor of the Malaysian type of products that are now spread out, throughout Southeast Asia. So having said this, let me first introduce in a short video our group, and after this I will explain the main reasons why we're here and how we established our company here in Malaysia.
The global food market is undergoing a period of transition and adaptation to new trends. A new scenario has been set, where companies and consumer brands are embracing wellness, nutrition, and healthy lifestyles. In this setting, Grupo Nutresa stands out as an organization dedicated to meet new market conditions and satisfy the changing tastes and needs of its consumers. Under a philosophy that seeks value creation within a framework of effective innovation and sustainable development, the company looks to the future. We are a multi-Latin company, a leader in processed foods and retail food experiences in the strategic region. As we approach our first century as a company, we pride ourselves in being a modern, diversified organization with 8 business divisions distributing to more than 70 countries. Looking ahead to 2020, we are moving toward the achievement of a challenging strategy. And to reach it, we have developed a business model focused on people, brands, and distribution networks. Our people, talented, innovative, responsible, and committed. Our brands, highly recognized and appreciated. And our powerful distribution networks that serve more than 1 million customers. The deployment of this strategy over time has allowed Grupo Nutresa to grow both in our organic and non-organic lines, adding new categories and distribution locations to the company. We acknowledge and listen to our stakeholders and implement their expectations and needs in our process of strategic formulation. And we manage our risks and opportunities responsibly. Our highest purpose is to build a better world where sustainable development is available for everyone. That is why we believe that economic development should go hand in hand with social progress and be in balance with the environment. Our results demonstrate ethical, transparent, and honest behavior, supported by the best corporate governance practices. As we enter a new century, we are convinced that the power to drive change resides in each one of us. Only when we understand that can we build a future together.
factory past 5 years. You don't see that anywhere in the world, only here. So that's why we're here. Just very briefly, as I mentioned, this is a cooperation with different business securities. We are looking to plan our operations using those plans that we have, including, of course, the other lines. All the uses, we have needs as well, that is very difficult that one, but I explain after how we need to understand that is what we have. And we focus on go deeper in the coffee area, which is the main business today. So we are now selling coffee from our factory in Nota. As I said, we are bringing the multinational to get products from us and bringing the income to Malaysia. But also, we are selling in one, we are selling meat, and we are selling cheese, we are selling coffee, and all that is coming from here. If you see the map down there, so you can see that we present now ourselves. It's a multinational company of coffee, where we have factories in Colombia, Chile, and now Malaysia. And we are going to keep expanding our operations in different more countries. But what we sell, just to be smart, is we sell mass consumption products, and you see on the left-hand side, down the bottom, the big one. And we are the here. So we are pretty proud that we are getting to you. But we are also bringing our coffee culture into your people and the person. So making sure that we are expanding our brand. Now, let's do this part. I have to say that we have found a lot of opportunities in Malaysia. Malaysia is a country that is friendly to the business in so many ways. It's a very good manufacturing setting for us. We're exporting from here to so many countries now, and we're very proud of this. However, also we have found several challenges. It took us a long time to settle down because the company here. It was more than 4 months, while in other countries where we are expanding, it took us just a few weeks. It's difficult to retain the target value. We are very important to make plans in our company, but it's still something that we're struggling with, especially in our global operation, more than the Oriental hotel items we follow. So these are challenges that we're facing, but also we have very good opportunities. We are here to stay and we hope we can keep growing. Malaysia as a manufacturing setting and as one country, and we have to keep expanding our business operation from here.
It's very interesting. I hope one day we can, when we go to Latin America, we do not need to bring our 435 Aljeffri coffee. Now let's hear from the construction story from Mario's company.
the arm of IMSA, that is a company in Argentina that has more than 100 years in the metallurgical business. Okay, thank you very much. So if we make to which is our product, there you can see two brands in the bottom. One is IMARTEK, one is IMSA. IMARTEK is the name in Malaysia. We are a Malaysian company, indeed, but our roots are in Argentina in a company named IMSA, which is our product, say, integral solution renewable energies. Means that we produce renewable equipment for energy generation. Basically, we are in two areas, hydro and wind, and we cover the full line, the full change of products coming from the research and development. We have our own lab, our own hydro labs that you need to develop turbines for hydropower. And from the research and development, we go all the process. We have our own design team. We have our factory, one in Argentina, one in Malaysia. And later on, when it's coming to the implementation, we make the erection and the commissioning of the plants. And also we can move forward in what we call the energy division, that we can act as a operator. I mean, we can go further, not only the turnkey, give the project to the owner, but we can operate the project for the owner. And in fact, we are also involved in what is called smart grids. That is very important in terms of bring more efficiency to the power system. Today, efficiency is one of the big challenges to reduce the emission, the CO2 emission, and reduce the coal or the fossil use. So talking about our history, as I mentioned before, we have started with a small workshop in 1907 in Argentina. Was an Italian immigrant that went to Mendoza, the province where our company is established. From there he started in 1924, was already 30 people there, and was in 1965 when the company started to be like a big company, at least in the Argentinian market, and it's created under the name of IMSA, working in different metallurgics jobs. In 1980s we started working on the hydro business. At that time was driven by technology transfer done by the government of Argentina for some big power plants. So we really take that seriously, and we really keep the technology in Argentina. And from there I start working in the hydro business. Take about 10 years to establish as an international company. In 1980s, in 1990s we start to have projects in Brazil, and even we start looking in Asia. It's in 1990s also when we arrived in Malaysia, or also in Asia. At that time we have one product that is the quay cranes. Most of the cranes in Westport, Northport, Tanjung Pelepas are manufactured by IMSA. Today, unfortunately, the business and the globalization sometimes impact us, and this product for us is very hard to keep. Anyway, we are in the service, no more as manufacturers. But also at the same time, in 1990s, we have started having projects in South Asia, in Philippines, some projects in Taiwan, and in Thailand. Was in year 2002 when we were awarded the Bakun Dam, the Bakun project, as a contractor number 2. As maybe you know, Bakun project is 8 units. 4 units were given to one contractor from Europe. The other 4 units were awarded to IMSA. So this gave a big push for the company, and we opened in 2004 our plant, where from around 75% of the pieces that was necessary for Bakun was manufactured in our own plant in Lumut. I can say that this is the history of an entrepreneurial family. I mean, basically we're driven by the passion to make business in other parts of the world. It was not really any free trade, or really they came here, they find that it's a prosperous place to do business. We of course been full support by our Argentinian government and by the embassy, and we share this with some local entrepreneurs, and this is how IMARTEK was part of today as companies in Malaysia. So this is our presence in different countries, but as you can see, the most important is in Argentina and in Malaysia in terms of production centers. But we have, of course, office for sales and support in other parts of the world. This is the most important. We have presence in 30 countries. Presence for us means that we have done projects there. So we have a big fit in North America, South America, and in South Asia, including projects in China. This is considering basically hydro and wind. So, as I mentioned to you before, we have two production centers, one in Argentina and one in Malaysia. Our production center is in Lumut because it's very easy for the transport. You know, all the components that we manufacture for vacuum were shipped out just beside our factory. But it's also important to say that components for projects that we have in Brazil and in Venezuela was also manufactured in Lumut, because as we need to share our manufacturing resources in between these two places. Since transport today is not an important component of our cost, we have been competitive fabricating here. We have the experience, we have the people, so it's also interesting to say that we have export. It's not only a matter that we produce for the local market, but we are export, and we expect to have opportunities in the future for exporting renewable energies in the region. Just for you to have an overview, this is the kind of components that we manufacture in our plant. I'm not sure if you can see, but human side, these are quite big piece of steel structures. We have 5 bays in our factory. We make heavy structures, light structures, pre-assemblies. It's quite technical, but just for you to see that we are not a black box. We are really a factory there producing. These are the machines that we have. The biggest on the left upside. This is the biggest milling machine in Malaysia. You need this kind of equipment to produce big equipment. I mean, in metal mechanics, you can do small components like for automotive, where you need the small machines on the right, the CNC machines. But when you want to be in the high tech, in the big machines, you need to have this kind of big equipment. So we did this investment in Malaysia along these 25 years here. Part of our equipment. We have some achievements in the hydro business. We are maybe in terms of share, we are not the biggest player, but in terms of achievement, yes. We have the biggest, they are the most power efficient Kaplan in the world. This is for the Tocoma project in Venezuela. It's the biggest machine. Later you will see a photo of this machine. We also have the most efficient Francis. Francis is a type of turbine. This turbine was the vacuum. Vacuum has the most efficient turbine for his type. Efficiency is very important today that we are discussing about energy and about the environment. As more efficient you do the machine, you use less resources to produce the same results, so that we are very committed to that, and this is basically research and development. At the same time, Bakun is the most efficient hydropower station. This is a combination between the turbine and the generator and the technical aspect. And we have, there is quite only one Pelton runner. Pelton is not applicable in Malaysia because of the type of geography, but it's very used in Andes area, Colombia, Chile. So the same in wind. Malaysia don't have wind opportunities in terms of wind farms here, but of course we have neighbor countries like Vietnam, where we are trying to find opportunities there, and of course if this happens will be our planting will move the one who will fabricate for this. We are today more strong in wind in South America, mainly in Brazil. We have a lot of projects. For the wind we not only fabricate but also we operate the farms. As you know, wind is coming very strong in Southeast Asia. If you refer to the energy agent forecast, Asia will be where where wind and solar power will be grow most in the world, so opportunities are there. This is our own design. We are a little different from the other wind turbines because our generator turns with the fan. It's not like we don't need a gearbox. Again, it's quite technical, but just to show you that we are not copying any other companies around the world. We have our own product. This is a record just showing efficiency. We can complete one wind erection, of course. But we can erect one wind turbine in 1 day. As a serious company, we follow all the quality, environment, and health and safety requirements. And so, it's again, this is a Pelton turbine, the one mentioned before, 109 years producing. This is Bakun power plant. This is the generator, as you can see. Malaysia, you can be proud that it's in this was manufactured in Malaysia in the factory I showed you just before. This is the biggest kaplan in the world. This is in Venezuela. Some components for this were exported from Malaysia. Okay, this is Bon Jardin. This is a wind project in Brazil, as well as Agua Dulce is another wind farm in Brazil. So this is who we are, and we say in the slogan, we live in the power of nature. Since that more than a slogan is really a decision to be involved in the renewables, we think that is definitely what is happening. Saying that, we are very pleased to be in Malaysia. There are challenges in the future. There are a lot of opportunities, as I mentioned, because Asia needs more power, and renewables will be the preferred by, we expect that we will be preferred, at least on papers. Of course, the support from the Malaysia government in terms of financial support to go overseas will be very important, as well as to preserve us when it's coming to local projects, and to be even again global is important, and we have the opportunities to be here because of the global market, but at the same time it's complicated to deal with the big ones. So it's where the government need to support the local companies who bring technology and of course the opportunities of work for the people. So this is who we are. Thank you very much again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mario. I think this is very interesting to see how a Latin American company, Argentinian in particular, set up a fabrication plant in Malaysia with some innovative activities, and it puts us on the global value chain of renewable energy, not just on solar, but now it's on the different parts of renewable energy. And talking about Argentina, I think one of the most iconic buildings in the world, the Twin Tower, was designed by Cesar Pelli, who is an Argentinian architect. So that shows how close we are with Argentina. I think we move back to Malaysia for a while. Let's hear from Syed Nabil about your activities on young entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurial pursuit that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sufyan. First and foremost, thank you for having me here today. Congratulations to Associate Professor Zarina, IGMAS, UKM as a whole. And it's an honor to be part of this distinguished panel and to be moderated by Dr. Sufyan, whom I have very high regard for. Okay, well, my understanding was today was to share my perspective on things that I'm passionate about, namely ASEAN, the Southeast Asian market, and one specific industry that I've been expanding into, namely digitalization. I think in terms of what I've done in ASEAN is I've looked at forming, which was done at the end of last year, the ASEAN Young Entrepreneurs Council, which is a collective of all 10 national level endorsed young entrepreneur associations to come together and have an official voice. Subsequently, we did our first presentation to the ASEAN economic ministers this year. Some of the key observations that we have experienced in the digital sector is to do with well, I've got to be honest here. I always said in my time in the council that some of the most pertinent topics or issues are actually discussed in university halls such as this. And this is my key point, where here people are a bit more free to express themselves regardless of political preferences or will to a great extent. So I feel a little bit more free to provide my input. I think some of the key observations, first point is when we look at technology and the role that it's playing now in terms of globalization and what is meant to be a revolution into a more borderless economic environment. I think this affects even Latin American countries. We can see ASEAN working as a collective. We're looking at the regional comprehensive economic partnership already, and that's supposed to be finalized at the end of next year, and I'm sure that will expand for 10 ASEAN member states are in fact part of the TPP negotiation. Whether or not it will be ratified, I think I really enjoyed that point you raised, Doctor. It needs to be seen whether or not TPP will be raised. However, technology provides a useful alternative. I think coming from the voice of the private sector, we are known to drive our direct interests, but of course this heavily hinges on the response of the market. I mean, technology is also an impetus to produce a more productive society, but in producing that productive society, we experience a lot of issues. For me, for example, in Malaysia, I've started this incubator on export champions to encourage businesses to go beyond national borders. I face issues in highly urban areas, to be perfectly honest, where I see tremendous potential is in fact in places close to the border, which is why my pilot project was done in Jeli, where there is a lot of socio-economic integration work done already, although not on an inclusive basis. I think this is the key point that Dr. Sufyan mentioned earlier. I was at the AEIF, where I was particularly taken. I walked up to Prof. Dr. Abdul Rahman Embong, who gave such a fantastic, brilliant speech on the need to socialize ASEAN and what the integration process is supposed to be, which is the key point that I'm going to be touching on today. When we talk about ASEAN, the key factor, the key element that we face in the digital industry is in fact access to market information, which is in many ways very ironic when digitalization is supposed to connect us. We know that the embracement of technology in ASEAN is relatively very strong. In fact, at a growth rate of 12% of IT literacy in ASEAN. As early as in the year 2000, there were only 25 million internet users. As of 2015, we have 300 million internet users. That's a big jump in a short span of 15 years. However, the market remains fragmented as ever. And if you ask me, some of the issues that we face is the infrastructure in enabling access to market information. In fact, information infrastructure in ASEAN itself is severely lacking, which makes ASEAN maybe that much harder to access. And the reason for this, I think, to put it simply, is political will. There are a lot of issues or how shall I say, tools that are already readily available to us, but we are not able to access them effectively. At the AEIF, there were points mentioned about tariff lines being reduced to up to 98% in ASEAN, but intra-ASEAN trade is at 26%, and this relates to non-tariff barriers. I know when my work in the ASEAN Business Council, we set up what we call the ASEAN Trade Repository with the European Union, where we opened up a portal to track non-tariff issues that are affecting businesses in trading. Since then, within 12 months, we recorded 3,000 over not identified non-tariff barriers already within a short span of 12 months. So we know that non-tariff barriers seem like a key impediment. But even when we talk about non-tariff barriers, what are the other issues that are being faced? Because technology is supposed to enable us to do business remotely. For example, subsequently, I was advisor to TM to revive this company called Acacia, which is a holding company consisting of 10 telcos from all over Southeast Asia to form Acacia, which was funnily enough formed in 1997 but has been dormant for so long. And one of our key projects was a marketplace called the ASEAN Marketplace.net. It's still running now. We identified issues being faced with Taobao.com and how we wanted to make ASEAN Marketplace.net something similar. We knew that e-commerce would not be able to be transacted online, not just because of embracement or penetration of payment, online payment system, but also on regulatory space. But we thought, okay, at least we can set up one form of information infrastructure affecting the SMEs, something that would have attracted the SMEs. Nonetheless, traffic since then has not been moving very well in terms of the marketplace. The key reason for this is free movement of data, which cannot move within ASEAN. In every ASEAN country, they have their own protective rules that prevents data or information to move in between countries, and this is something that needs to be addressed quickly if we were to actually take advantage of the fact that we are going through this tremendous growth at a time where we have technology and digitalization driving the next revolution. I think we are not short in ASEAN on receiving or getting advice from global powerhouses or developed economies. However, if you talk about digitalization and technology, just recently Christine Lagarde said that 66% of the jobs that are going to be created within the next 5 years do not even exist. So we know that at this juncture, nobody really knows where technology or the digital revolution is going to take us. Nonetheless, we are in charge of where we are headed, and we should take advantage of creating this regulatory space. We know that in ASEAN, when we don't have a common intellectual property protection structure, we don't have consumer protection structure. Just now there was a point raised about labor rights in between ASEAN countries. These are simple regulatory space issues which can be seen as low-hanging fruits, which can be developed at such a crucial time. We know that the ASEAN community is 5 years or 4 years shy. I think one thing working on the basis of consensus, we do not lack the seriousness in wanting to integrate. However, how that translates into actual buy-in from the people, from the social structure, still remains to be seen. So, in terms of technology, these are some of my key observations. I've had 3 startups already in Southeast Asia, and all of them have impediments related with regulatory space, which can easily be, or not easily, but foreseeably be addressed within the short term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nabil, for this openly discussing about issues surrounding ASEAN member states, and especially relating to young entrepreneurs. Let's move to our last speaker of the day, and also of LASA5, Mr. Fabian Burns from VALE Malaysia Minerals. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank you, UKM. I'd like to thank you, Ms. Arena, for this invitation. It's an honor for us to be here. Let's talk about VALE. So first, I'd like to share you about our beliefs, our values. So our mission is to transform natural resource into prosperity and sustainable development. So we need iron ore for everything in our life. Without iron ore, we cannot survive in these years. About our values, I'd like to highlight just one, the most important. So for us, for VALE, life matters most. That's the most important value. Without people, without life, we cannot operate our site. A general information, so VALE has a global presence. We are in the 5 continents. Our headquarters is in Brazil, and Malaysia has a very importance in our strategy. Malaysia is our first distribution center. I will talk a little bit more about why you need a distribution center. Our portfolio, so VALE is the number 1 in iron ore, is the second in nickel. We also have business in coal, copper, and fertilizer. And we are here in Malaysia to combine iron ore and logistics. Why we decide to have a plant here in Malaysia? That's the big question mark. First, they increased iron ore on sales. So after the big price in 2008, VALE has to focus in new clients, discover new clients. But most of these clients are here in Southeast Asia, but not a part of seaborne market, because most of them does not have capacity to receive the big vessels. That's the first idea, to create a distribution center. And of course, with a distribution center, we can get close with our clients and reduce the supply chain costs. Of course, the proximity of the fast growth market is another important thing for us. So the large part of the population is here in the Asia. And of course, the infrastructure developed hub. So Asia is growing fast and continuous. And the third point is the logistic optimization. VALE decided 10 years ago to develop and bought the biggest vessels called VALE Max. The name is called VALE Max because VALE helped the industry, the navy industry to develop these vessels. So each one of these vessels can carry 400,000 tons per trip. So it's a huge vessel. And we can reduce the level of stocks in our clients. And why you choose Malaysia? So choose the right country is very important for us. In 2007 and 2008, in the first studies, we were discussing which country is better for us. We were sure that South Asia is the region, but which country? So we did some survey about easy countries to do business. Of course, looking for research, human capital, finance, logistics. The risks, geological risk is very important for us. Yes, when you saw it, so unfortunately, Philippines had a lot of impact during the tsunami and built a big port, $1.5 billion investment. You cannot put in the wrong place. The social-political, how strong is the social-political? How can the economy change if they change the government? So it's a very other factor very important to consider. The incentives, of course, and the cultural integration. So Malaysia is an English-speaking country. not the first language, but it is an English-speaking country, so this counts a lot of us. Imagine Brazilians speak only Portuguese in a country which speak only Bahasa, so it's very hard to do business. So keep doing this, keep teaching your children how to learn English. And according to the survey, doingbusiness.org, in 2007, Malaysia was the 25th best country to do business in the world, and the 6th in this region. So we did the right choice, because nowadays Malaysia is 18th and the 4th in this region. So our idea is to bring our mind close to our customers. The travel from Brazil to Asia is almost 35 days, and from Malaysia you can reach our clients with only 10 days. You can reduce the lead time, you can reduce the level of stocks, and you can reach more and more clients and develop the steel company in Asia. The other important strategy for us is that you have two big complexes of mine in Brazil. One in the north, called Carajás, and one in the south, Minas Gerais. Minas Gerais was the first mine of VALE. Nowadays, it's a 50 years old mine. So the quality of our ore is low. And the quality of Carajás is the best quality of iron ore in the world. It's high Fe content and it's low Fe, low silica. And when you combine these two products, the product from Carajás and the product from Minas Gerais, you provide a very suitable iron ore for the markets, and you can reduce the gas emissions. So it's very important for the steel companies nowadays. In addition, when you combine the new products called Brazilian blends, Brazilian Malaysia blends, with our VALE Max, we can reduce 20% of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. Comparing with our own emissions, okay? So comparing with our current situations, deliver the vessels straight to China, and when you combine these two vessels, these two products with the biggest vessels, we can reduce 20% of greenhouse gas emissions. And the benefits for our customers is clear. So lead time reduction, reduce the level of stocks, so reduce the cost of their operation. A little bit about our history here in Malaysia. So in 2018, as I told you before, we start our studies. In 2009, we decided to have a distribution center here in Malaysia. In 2012, it's very important, we kick off our apprentice program, preparing the local manpower to operate this big port. We sent almost 60 employees to Brazil for 4 months on the job and training in our port in Brazil. And also in 2013, VALE was recognized as the best TRCR Asia Pacific Enterprise Leadership. In 2014, we received the first VALE Max here in Malaysia. During our project and during our operations, we have a lot of experience with Malaysia. Of course, I'd like to highlight the most important, and it's a proud for us to be here in Malaysia because the human capital and education level is so high. Our focus in health and safety, and people here follow our rules, follow our instructions, so it's very good for us. The religion and beliefs, so the respect for all the countries, for expatriates, so Malaysia is a very friendly country. Of course, immigration rates and the career, leisure, retirement, the law here is suitable to have business with Malaysia. Talk a little bit about our operation. We have a port with a capacity of 30 million tons per year. We have 2 berths. One of the ports can receive the biggest ore carrier vessels in the world. And we have a sport vessel for a short, can receive short capacity vessel, lower capacity vessels in order to reach the Asia Pacific market. So to reach small clients. You can convert vessels from 10,000 tons 180,000 tons. Our storage capacity is 2.5 billion tons, and we have 5 yard machines. Talk about our talents, so people is very important for us, as I mentioned. Our operation in Teluk Rubiah Maritime Terminal generates 600 jobs. And we are very proud to tell you that 96% are local employees. So Malaysia has the knowledge, Malaysia has the manpower. It's important just to adjust and to give them the opportunity to provide, to show us their talents. And our apprentice program, 6% of total permanent employees were recruited from local communities, and 9% still with us in the beginning. So it's very important for us because our operation is very huge operation. You have to need specialized employees and keep 90% since the beginning. So it's a proud for us that people are enjoying working with us. And we have a continuous talent development, fresh graduate student development, inter-trainee program with university, so that I'd like to open our doors to receive interns from UKM and for other universities. It will be a pleasure for us. This year we are receiving 15 interns from different matters: automation, electrical, finance, admin, mechanical. So we are totally open to receive interns from UKM. The very important value for us is praise our planet, so have a corporate social responsibility that's strong in Vale. You know Lumut, so Lumut is an area of a lot of fishermen, and you support the local fishermen community, help them and provide some partnership with NOGs to provide new to improve their job, so can help the fisher markets doing business case to open a fisher market and help them to be more competitive with the others. Petrol stations in Pampor Island, so Pampor Island is a very rich area to develop with them a petrol station to put fuel on their boats. We have a scholarship and training for students. The Rubiah terminal is totally open door. We receive a lot of students and we receive the community in our site, so you can visit us. It will be a pleasure for us. And this is a long-term social environment investment with some NOGs, some partnership with UNIPL, for example. So we have listed here 10 big projects looking for environment. We encourage our employees to be a volunteer. That's a practice for Vale worldwide, and here we did some volunteer day. We did a beach cleanup in Teluk Batik, badminton clinic, training to trainer, becoming natural guides. So Lumut area is a very beautiful area, a very natural area. So we are helping the local community to teach them how to be a guide, because in Lumut area we see a lot of tourists. So that's a kind of a partnership that Vale is proud to have. And community engagement and social dialogue, so community sites to visit Rubiah. And it's a very, very new asset that we have. We have a Vale Eco Center. It's a totally free and open. It's a park that you can have a lot of trails. You can do some fairs there. You can receive schools for some presentations. So it's open. It's a pleasure provided to have this. You have this in other countries in the world. And here we have some photos just to share with you how beautiful is our operation in Teluk Rubiah. One important thing, 100% of our water that you use in our operations are recycled. It comes from rain. We don't use water from water company. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabiano. I think it's very interesting to see how a Brazilian company participates and invests in Malaysia, not only in terms of business but also in terms of responsible business conduct. If you take the boat from Pangkor to Pulau Sembilan, one of the nice little islands of Pangkor, you will be able to see your installation on the left hand side of the boat towards Pulau Sembilan. Thank you very much again. I would like to open questions from the floor, maybe 5 minutes. Any question? Ambassador, please.
Yeah, my question is very simple. I would like to forward this question to Grupo Nutresa, Colombia. In your opinion, what should Malaysia do in order to attract more investors to Malaysia? Because there are few investors from Latin America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother. I would say that as my colleagues here, they have presented, Malaysia offer a lot of opportunities to our companies as a, let's say, regional hub to keep expanding the operations not only in Southeast Asia but the whole world, I would say. There are a couple of countries in the region that do a very good promotion, and they are visiting us into our headquarters in Colombia, promoting the opportunities that we can find. So one thing is awareness among the, let's say, the business community, that Malaysia is a good hub to come and expand. The second thing is related to awareness, is to keep promoting the benefits that you offer. There are several opportunities that we haven't taken into account yet because we are still growing the operation, but there are several benefits that we can apply to. And I would say if the country expands more this in terms of let's say income taxes or grants or something related to human talent, so that could be a good option for us. We see that there is room to improve for improvement there.
Thank you. Ambassador? Thank you, Excellency. Any comment from the floor, from the panelists, about opportunities for ASEAN businesses in Latin America. Nabil, you want to say something?
Yeah, thanks, Doc. Actually, I would just like to share. 2 years ago, a member of my committee, someone who serves as my president today, is actually Argentinian. And what happened was we were looking to expand into the e-commerce market in South America. True enough, Your Excellency, truly it is a very attractive market for us. So much so that it was worth for us to invest. That time we did a partnership with Zalora to set up what is now Linio out of Mexico, Costa Rica and Colombia. However, what we found in terms of expanding the business base was problems to do with cultural differences, language issues, currency exchanges. These were some of the issues that we experienced, and us coming from startups, young entrepreneurs, we don't have that much capital. So after 8 months, we decided to bring business back. So our fallback plan at that time was maybe we can work remotely from Malaysia. However, in terms of marketing and promotions for our businesses or our endeavors in Latin America, we found that it required a physical presence for us to be there. And I think if there is a possibility for us to bridge the cultural gap, I think there will be a lot of interest from entrepreneurs in Malaysia or even ASEAN to expand into such an attractive market. I agree with you, Your Excellency. Thank you for that point.
Thank you very much. Is there anything, Ambassador? Thank you.
Proud seeing our Latin American companies and businessmen working here in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. And I want to share the words of my colleague from Colombia. We see nowadays in 21st century, of course, language and distances are still in some way a problem, but actually you see they are not anymore. We see this very clearly with so many enterprises all around the world, Chinese and American, Western countries and China, Chinese companies worldwide. So I think maybe we have to exercises like this one we're doing today are very useful because we can realize that this investments, this can happen, really can happen. It's simply trying to put people together to is mainly putting in contact people and seeing the possibilities. In Argentina, now for example, we have Malaysian investments in Argentina, but we are willing to expand them. We have, with the new government since December, we have presented a few days ago many infrastructure and projects, and also on renewable energy that I think Malaysian companies would be very interested in participating. And I think also you, the businessmen, the investors here, can help our governments also, because I mean, in your own domains of investment and your partners and partnerships here in Malaysia, through you they can also get to know the possibilities that there are in our own countries. So I'm very confident that we are going to be able to, for these next years, we are going to be able to even go further in investment and commerce between our two regions.
Thank you very much, Excellency. With that, I would like to wrap up the session. On behalf of the organizing committee and ICMAS, we would like to thank all the panelists. Once again, let's give them a round of applause. Let's have this, I hand the session back to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
A very big thank you to our panel of CEOs and Associate Professor Dr. Sufyan Juso. I will now invite Associate Professor Dr. Zarina Othman to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Francisco E. Gomez. Please stay for the token. Mr. Francisco? by Mr. Mario Scarpa. Next we have Mr. Fabian Burns. Mr. Syed Nabil Aljeffri. Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Zarina Othman. Now it's time for me to call upon Professor Rashida Ramli, Director of ICMAS. Oh, okay, we will proceed with the photo session. Now it's time for me to call upon Professor Rashida Ramli, Director of ICMAS, to deliver her final presentation on LASA5 and to then after officially close LASA5 of 2016. Please welcome.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. Good evening. Buenos tardes, I think. And yeah, it's been 3 days that we have been deliberating for LASA5, and with that, I'm just going to take a few minutes of your time to run over a few things. Okay. All right. Closing. Buka terus kan? Next. I'd just like to run over a few things here because I think it is important to take note of the many different important takeaway that we have deliberated in the last 3 days. We have had 3 keynotes actually in the last 3 days. On the first day, from the Director General, Mr. Songsak Sechiro. I may spell his name not quite right there, but I'll try. The fact that he suggested that there should be greater cooperation with academicians to be enhanced through FILAC. Now, FILAC is the Forum for East Asia and Latin American cooperation. So, from the notes that were given, we hope that we can strike a strategic partnership through our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I think Dato' Jamayah will help us with this. So that we are already a founding member within the FILAC University Network. So that would be one thing. Now, from Ambassador Toro Hadi, and I do not know whether you realized that we were in the papers today in the NAMA, the main thing that he put forth is that culture plays an important role for economic relations to flourish. And this is what we heard also with the CEO panels today. The fact that it is important in order for the bridging purposes to have a good cultural understanding for both of the region. And finally, this morning, from Professor Shamsul Amri, he put forth that we should consider super diversity as a concept to understand area studies. So area studies not what it has been known, but as new area studies. So these are areas of consideration in terms of takeaway from the keynote speakers. Okay, we move on. Yesterday we had actually a very interesting sessions, because yesterday we actually had 4 workshops, parallel workshops running, and these were the areas that we were discussing: centering community development, rethinking political and economic stratagem, exploring sustainable development goals, and revisiting historical narratives, literature, and literacy. In all these areas we had about 20 participants per group. So the deliberation was actually on 3 things. We wanted to look at what are the factors supporting societal integration. We wanted to also look at factors what are hindering societal integration among the region. At the same time, we wanted to also look into what are possible emerging issues in each of the workshop that we did in the morning. So from the discussion, I just got notes back from the different repertoires. So we thought we'd just share it quickly with you, just 1 slide-ish, because we need to compress it here, but we'll have a longer note later on for circulation. So, for factors supporting societal integration, these are some of the points that came through. Okay, exchanges in terms of culture, economy, diplomatic, and also with students. So these were brought up in one of the groups. There was also suggestions that joint projects to solve same problems between the two that occurs in the 2 regions. So I think this is something we need to look into. From I think the political and economic group, issues on people-to-people relations were brought up during the discussion. A situation of upholding local knowledge was once again brought up, and to appreciate intangible cultural heritage. So from the 4 groups, these were some of the important priority supporting factors that will increase societal integration. So we thought we'd share this with you. Now, on the next one, later on I might just ask 1 or 2 of the chairs who are here in case they would like to add anything. But factors, the next one please. Factors hindering societal integration. So this was also brought up in the discussion. Geographical distance and finance. So this came up as one of the topic. Ignorance and prejudice between the people, social inequality. In fact, this was discussed quite substantively in the workshop that I chaired on exploring sustainable development goals. Issues on digital gap. This can even occur within a region, even within a country, actually. Yeah. So this came through. Question on language and culture again, and just now our CEO from ASEAN itself, Syed Nabil, brought up the issue that when he tried to do business in Latin America, that is a problem. And another thing is that with governments, there is also the question of too much top-down approach instead of a bottom-up approach. So these are things that are hindering societal integration. Go on. Okay, in terms of emerging issues for research, so this came up from discussion. First, recognizing the interlinkages of SDGs and its application, especially at the national level, since this is something that we have to go through for the next until 2013 with the Global 2030 Agenda. So recognizing that those goals are not in silo, but instead they are all interlinked. Yeah. Interconnectivity between regions. So this is more than just cyber. We are looking at also connecting through oceans. So we're looking at interconnectivity in a much broader term. Yeah? Third, maybe understanding super diversity as a new area approach. And then finally, possible emerging issues on encouraging growth of soft power. This especially came through with the last group, the one on revisiting narratives and literacy at that point. So these are some things we can take forth when we, for the next 2 years, and in dealing with moving forward to LASA 6. Okay, just to share. Okay. So new feature of LASA, this time we put forth the ambassadorial talk, and I would like to thank the ambassadors for being here. The CEO panel, this is also for the first time. And then for the first time also, we actually have very active undergraduate student participation. This occurred in the workshop yesterday, because we do have a class right now on ASEAN community, so we're putting them through this. But if everything goes well, by next semester, by next academic year, we should have an introduction class to Latin America. So with those 2 classes, we should be able to have about 60 students each time going through. And the students come from all disciplines. It's not just for within social science. So we have those from engineering, from architecture, from medicine, social science, and so on. So this, we are looking forward to the generation of a good pool of upcoming young scholars to have interest in regional issues. Okay, so we move on. All right, follow through activities that we plan to do. Now, in the workshops, there were some already pretty good papers, but we actually would like to encourage those presenters. We will send a note to all the presenters if they would like to publish their papers. In fact, what we're looking at is a possible special issue in the journal. We do have a journal which is the Southeast Asian Social Science, Social Science Review. This journal is a journal that is within ICMAS and PSSM. PSSM is the Malaysian Social Science Association, and it is a peer-reviewed journal. So we would like to see publication from, we can have a special issue coming from the presentations that came up yesterday, because there were at least about 20 papers, 20 presentations, and some were already in paper form, and we would like those to be upgraded to become a publishable paper. So that would be one publication. Publication of keynote speeches. I did approach at least a couple of them, and they have agreed to rework on their presentation. I think Ambassador Toro will probably have it almost done. We just need a bit more touch up to it, so that could be published. Now, you saw the video that we have put up 3 times, I think, throughout the 3 days. We will add the LASA5 input to it, and that will become the video for at least the history of LASA, and then we can get a KPI for that as well. So we got to look into all these things. Finally, as I mentioned, the course Introduction to Latin America. So these are the follow-up, just to share with you for in the near future and within the next year or so. Okay, and then okay, please move on. Now I would like to express my thanks. These are so many thanks to express. First, top on the list, okay, Associate Professor Dr. Zarina Hoffman, who has worked very, 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 very hard. Zarina, you know, she goes beyond the call of duty to get this done. You should see all the WhatsApp messages coming at different times of the night. You know, we're not talking about days, it's night. Okay, so Zarina, for leading the team, yeah. So the scientific team members, these are the one that handles all the programs. Nick, right here, Jay, Ran, who is not here. The technical team, these are pretty much the staff. Farizan, Salwa, she got sick a little just before LASA, so was not able to be with us that much. But Zaidi, Dila, Anand, Rizan, Nabil, Kishan. Okay, these are all the technical members. I hope I'm not missing anybody. The moderators, Pak Hans is not here, but Pak Man and Pak Pian somewhere. So thank you very much to the rapporteurs, Ram, Jay, Haris, and Dr. Ami. Okay, all these are people that, you know, LASA cannot happen without the important contribution. And of course to all the participants. Some have left, some have gone, some are, and those who are still here, especially Datuk Jamaya. We need to give a big clap to Datuk Jamaya. Okay, next page. Alright, so as I said, to all ambassadors of Latin America in Malaysia, our group. So we have at least 4 or 5 right here. Thank you so much. I appreciate your continuous support to us. Once again, special thanks to Datuk Jamaya, who actually, when she was in Mexico, believe me, she really made our life easier, because she was so supportive in so many ways when we were there. And we hope that you continue being with us in ICMAS. The UKM top management, we know that Dr. VC has been keeping in touch with us. He can't be here because there's so many programs going on, and the students need him to do a few things on the other side of campus, but he is informed. In fact, all the different panels, you know, we send photos, make sure they know what's going on. Ministry of Foreign Affairs Malaysia, Ministry of Foreign Affairs Thailand, Sutra Bistari Travels, they funded some of our flights. And to those who have helped in one way or another, this is a caveat so that whoever I miss, okay, so I thank everybody for this. Now, announcement of the next cohorts for LASA6. We are actually still in negotiation for 2018, but chances are, and it's a pretty good chance, that it might be in Costa Rica. Okay? At the institute, okay, Instituto Centroamericano de Administración Público in Costa Rica. So hopefully we will see most of you there, and that would be for LASA6. So with that, last slide, I think. No more. Okay, no more last slide. But final words, yeah? Vaya con Dios. With that, have a safe trip home. Lo siento mucho for whatever mistakes that we may have done. Muchas gracias por todos, and hasta pronto, that we meet again. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. And let me take the